Hi again, everyone, and welcome to Inside Golf. I'm Harry Donahue. Today, we're at Union League Liberty Hill, and we're going to meet two recent inductees into the Hall of Fame of the Philadelphia section of the PGA. John Pillar has been the head professional at the country club of Woodloch Springs in the Poconos for more than 30 years. He served the section well, both on and off the course. Jeff Kiddie, well, he's been the head pro at Aronimink for 15 years. And like John Pillar, Jeff has been the president of the local section, as well as being a member of the PGA Rules Committee, a rules official, for several years. So it's John Pillar and Jeff Kiddie, Hall of Famers, and they're coming up next on this edition of Inside Golf. The 27th season of Inside Golf is presented by Destination Montco Golf, the First Tee of Greater Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Association of Golf Course Superintendents, the Golf Association of Philadelphia, GAP, Jersey Man and Philly Man Magazine, and Inside Golf's partner since 1998, the Philadelphia section of the PGA.
Golf is the great equalizer. For many, this journey is an escape from reality, a chance to be part of a team, a career opportunity. PGA Reach impacts lives through golf by lifting people up, giving them hope, and sending them down an alternate path that they never saw coming. With PGA Reach Philadelphia, as in life and in golf, the most important shot you take is the next one.
The Golf Association of Philadelphia. Founded in 1897, GAP is the nation's oldest regional or state golf association. We serve amateur golf in Eastern PA, Southern New Jersey, and all of Delaware. GAP welcomes all golfers, junior or senior, male or female, public or private. Join the Golf Association of Philadelphia today. Our mission is always to preserve, protect, and promote the great game of golf. Before you tee it up, look us up. Visit gapgolf.org to find out more.
Welcome back. Inside Golf continues. As I mentioned, we're talking to a couple Hall of Famers when it comes to the Philadelphia section of the PGA. First at the plate, or on the tee, I should say, is Jeff Kiddie. Congratulations.
Appreciate it, Harry.
Another big honor for you. Let's talk, Jeff. You're not a Philadelphia native. You're currently the head pro at Aronimink, and we'll talk about that. But what made you decide on a golf career? I know it was in upstate New York near Rochester where you grew up, but was there a turning point, an event, a person that said, you know what, I want to get involved in this game?
You know, I grew up, my dad was a golf pro right out of college. He went to college, played golf at Ohio University, and then he was an assistant pro right out of college. And he didn't do that for very long. He became a golf sales rep. So I grew up kind of around golf because my dad was calling on golf professionals. So growing up around it and being familiar with it, I kind of always knew that this is what I want to do. I always say I don't remember the moment that I said I want to be a golf professional, but I don't ever remember wanting to be anything other than a golf professional.
Right. You went to school at Gannon?
I did, Gannon University in Erie.
Way up in Erie?
Yeah.
Played golf at Gannon?
I did.
Decent player?
Yeah, decent player, Division II program, you know, won a couple tournaments, and we were a decent Division II team.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you got involved getting your first job. Where was it?
First job was at the same private club that I had worked at through high school and college in the bag room, was Locust Hill Country Club. And small world story, my dad was the first professional that I worked for. My dad was Dennis Bradley's first assistant professional at Locust Hill Country Club, and I ended up being Dennis's last assistant at Locust Hill Country Club.
How about that? How many years did you work up there?
I worked 6 years as an assistant, 2 different clubs, 3 years each.
And then it was time to move on, and you got an opportunity to come eventually to the Philly area. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I'd worked at Monroe Golf Club for my the second club that I worked at in Rochester, and for a great professional, Jim Merva, who was a dear mentor to me and a dear friend. But I knew I started applying for jobs outside of Rochester. And if you're not from Rochester, New York, or Buffalo, you probably don't know Monroe Golf Club or Jim Merva. So I didn't feel like it was going to translate. I realized I needed to get some more exposure. So that's when I started looking for other jobs, and was lucky enough to land a job at Pine Valley Golf Club working for Charlie Rowdenbush. So,
wow.
Yeah.
What year was that?
I worked there for the year of 2000, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you went from upstate New York in the Rochester area to maybe the #1 golf club, golf course
In the world.
In the world.
Yeah.
Pine Valley.
Yeah.
I mean, what did you just write a letter to Charlie, or
No.
you got to tell me, how did he
so,
pick
I mean,
you for that job? He must
I-
get
it was so
500 applications a month.
Yeah, so it's just really silly. I had applied for a job with Jim Muthing at Marion Golf Club, and Jim said he liked my materials, and he had an assistant that was interviewing for head professional positions, and that if he got the job, he'd like me to come down for an interview. Well, that assistant ended up not getting the job, and so I felt like I was calling him every day. And finally, I got through to him, and I said, did he get the job? He goes, no, he didn't. He goes, but I forwarded your resume to Charlie at Pine Valley. And a light went off in my head that the superintendent at Monroe Golf Club, where I was working, had been the superintendent at Pine Valley.
Oh, so you had a little bit of a connection.
I had not only a connection, I mean, Patrick Gertner, the superintendent at Monroe Golf Club, not my head professional, really got me the job. I mean, he gave his seal of approval to Charlie, and Charlie hired me because of Patrick's recommendation.
So did you have to go down and get a one-on-one interview with Charlie?
I did.
Can you remember any of the details of that?
I fought a snowstorm getting down there.
You're used to that in Rochester.
I was driving down in like January. I was late. I had to pull over to the side of the road to change my clothes to, put on my coat and tie because I didn't want to come in wrinkled. I stopped at a liquor store to get directions. It was a mess.
I thought you were going to say you stopped at a liquor store and just settled down.
I almost needed it. But I got there, I walked in the door, and Charlie said, you can take the jacket and tie off. It makes me nervous. You got the job on Patrick's call, which was really nice.
Like that's the way the interview started?
It was, but it was pretty much like that, yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
how about that?
Yeah.
Did you play a lot of golf when you were there? Did you get a chance?
I played a lot there. I tell the story that we didn't have children yet, and I told my wife, I said, listen, I'm going to play a lot because I don't know how long I'm going to work here, and I know as soon as I don't work here anymore, I'm going to wish I had played more.
How about that?
So I did play a lot when I worked
You took
there.
advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah,
Let's talk about the fact that you came from Rochester, you hardly knew anybody, and you were there at Pine Valley for only 1 year, and then you wind up going to Applebrook as the head pro, and that was a relatively new club when you went there,
Yeah,
right?
we were brand new. I got hired in the fall of 2000, and I started in March of 2001. We had a couple members at Pine Valley that were founding members at Applebrook, and they were networking the job with Charlie, and Charlie was, gracious enough to put my name in front of them. And so it was a really incredible opportunity. We had a baby coming, and I needed a job, and it worked out incredible. It was the best first head professional job ever, and it's still a very special place to me too.
Yeah, it sure is. And then you wound up, the current job that you have right now for the last 20-some years is or almost 20-some years at Aronimink. I mean, you go Pine Valley, you go Applebrook, and Aronimink. That's quite a triple play.
Yeah, again, really fortunate. I mean, at one point we shared quite a bit of members between Applebrook and Aronimink, so I knew a lot of people at Aronimink, and so when the job came open, it seemed like a great opportunity and kind of a natural transition, and just an opportunity I couldn't turn down to pursue.
And big events, and you're having another one coming up next year, right? In 26, and PGA Championship will be held at Aronimink. Preparations, I know, are already underway. What do you do as head professional to help prepare for an event such as the PGA Championship?
Yeah, so I'm part of the executive team, being the PGA professional for a PGA Championship. So, listen, the PGA of America staff does an incredible job. They're a very, very, very well-oiled machine, and they do this so much. So we help when we can with what we can, but the club has a big role in this too, with all the volunteering and all the things that we have to do with the infrastructure of the club too. So I'm a part of that. I'm a piece of that, but it's a big team effort for sure.
And it's not a first-time rodeo for Aronimink. What year did Gary Player win back there?
1962.
62.
Yeah, good for you.
And he still looks like he could go out there and maybe.
He's amazing.
Huh?
He's amazing.
And they're also now a member of one of the rules officials for the PGA of America. You will be doing another Ryder Cup, your second, coming up at Bethpage Black. Got to be excited about that, right?
Yeah, it'll be incredible. I got to work the one at Whistling Straits a few years back, and we were still coming out of COVID, so the European fans weren't traveling. So we didn't get the full experience if that was your first one. I didn't feel like I really got the full experience of what the crowd feels like, but this will be the full experience up in Long Island.
I'm sure it will. Probably a little more raucous at times, do you think?
There will be some energy.
With the fans in New York getting
will be
into
some,
the Euros a little bit?
There will be some energy for sure.
Hall of Famer, you're going to sign autographs like HOF-2025?
Luckily, nobody's asking me for an autograph.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm sure your wife can't believe it, right? From looking for an apartment someplace near Pine Valley, and now she lives with a Hall of Famer. Congratulations again.
Appreciate it, Harry.
All right, good seeing you.
Thank you very much.
Jeff Kiddie, member of the class of 2024, even though it is 2025, he's officially in. And we'll be back with another Hall of Famer, John Pillar. We'll find out his story next on Inside Golf.
So, what do you want to do today?
Today, I want to run. I want to skate.
Thank you.
I want to see a show. I want to play. I want to eat, like a lot. I want to sleep in a hotel. Can we do all that?
We can do all that and more.
Welcome back to Inside Golf. This is sort of our local Hall of Fame edition of Inside Golf. We had Jeff Kiddie earlier, and this is John Pillar, who is now officially a member of the Hall of Fame of the Philadelphia section of the PGA. Congratulations. Good to see you again.
Thank you very
You look
much.
all tanned up, huh? You've been practicing in front of that simulator bay again, or
I just
were you outside someplace?
spent the winter in Florida from January, and I literally are driving home, and this was our final stop until we get back to work on Monday. Tomorrow.
Saved the best till last, huh? Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
How's that feel? You are a Hall of Famer, John.
It's quite humbling. You know, it's a lot of reflection time in the last, I'll call it several months, just on, how you got here.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. When did you get the feeling or desire to get involved in the game of golf as a professional?
Well, my route's a lot different than Jeff's. Jeff his father was part of it and got him into it. The golf wasn't part of it. I come from a very small town, humble beginnings. And golf, I picked it up when I was a sophomore just as a fluke. I helped my uncle out. And, I went through some really hard times in my life. My father passed away quite young. I was trying to help out, but I was kind of lost in life. And then I got an opportunity. My golf coach said, would you like to take a job at Fernwood Resort in the golf business? Because he knew that was probably my last option. So I knew nothing about what I was doing, but I needed a direction, and that was it. And the rest, as they say, is history. I just fell in love with every aspect of the game of golf, from business, and I didn't know anything. I knew, just.
How old were you at the time?
I was 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where was Fernwood? Now, where's home for you? First.
So I'm in Hawley, Pennsylvania, small town right off the shores of Lake Wallenpaupack, and Fernwood was actually down in the East Stroudsburg area.
All right.
So I was literally driving there and back every day, and the result of it was I needed to have some responsibility, which I didn't have when I was younger. So needed a little structure, and that job gave me that opportunity. And literally the people I met there, Bruce Hooper gave me a chance. I'm grateful for that. Bob Simons, who was my high school coach, he actually coached my kids, the winningest coach in the history of Pennsylvania golf, gave me an opportunity, and I took it. And from that point on, I stayed up in that area. PPGS, which is the Pocono Professional Golf Series, is where I kind of learned how to play golf. And then that led me to jumping into the section to play, and that led me into getting involved in the section. And the reason I say this, Harry, is because at that point, after a few years of having an opportunity and knowing that this was what I wanted to do, I felt that golf had given me an opportunity. It was going to give me everything that I could ever ask for. And I needed to give everything back to the game that gave me everything. So that was really the foundation of why I started. And then as I started to get involved through governance, that took me in another direction, and I loved serving the membership, quite honestly.
Yeah, you've been the president, before that vice president of the section.
Yeah, secretary, district director, tournament director.
You've done it all.
Yeah.
And you've been...
And on a national board too. I was on I was the district director for PGA of America. So, I just love serving, right? There's nothing stronger than a volunteer. You to leave it better than you found it.
Right,
It's
right.
simple.
And for the past 30-some years, you've been involved at the country club of Woodloch Springs, which is in the Pocono regions. You didn't move around too much, right?
No.
That's quite a quite a bite for you in terms of your lifetime in golf, spending it at that one club for the majority of the time.
You know,
It's been some history.
It's been great. They've treated me like family, and that's their mission statement.
Well, in addition to being what you do off the golf course, in terms of what you've served in the National PGA, there's also the section. Let me go over your career as a competitor a little bit. And this is all that would fit on my page here. 2009, you won the Philadelphia Professional Championship, 14 the Pennsylvania Open, three-time winner of the section's Senior Championship, Pennsylvania Senior Open in 2021. You've won 20-plus section tournament victories, 97. The Open competition and 2017 Senior Open and 4 Senior PGA Professional Championships. And right now, you are the defending champion of probably the signature event of the Philadelphia section, and that is the Haverford Philadelphia PGA Classic, which you won last year, some 20 years after the section gave you the award as the most improved golfer. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
You've really improved.
You know, and as I mentioned earlier about reflection, you know, this is part of it. Is, you know, you sit there and you see that there are 48 individuals in the Hall of Fame for the Philadelphia section over 105 years, and you know, we've got about 900 members. You know, I don't take that lightly. That to me, this is one of the ultimate acknowledgments that anybody can get in our section. But personally, you know, to see where I started and now where I'm sitting with you and you know, going to have my family and my dear friends, my owners, and some members here tonight, you know, I would have never imagined it. And, you know, it's emotional. It's amazing. I love to compete. Competing is really, there's nothing I enjoy more than walking into the ropes for an event. It seems to streamline me. I love serving people, my members, the general public.
Well, let me bring it up something here. You're very involved in PGA Hope, which helps veterans getting out on the golf course, doing something they probably thought they could never do, but because of people like you, they're out there playing golf.
Yeah, you know, I've made an effort to the veteran community because they need it, right? They'll never ask for help because they're too proud. They won't ask their brothers and sisters, and they surely won't ask up. But PGA Hope is a program that the PGA of America created, and we know it saves lives. I'm very involved with the Folds of Honor Foundation, and the Woodloch family has reached out their arms. So through the Folds of Honor, we have families come up, 5 or 6 families a year. They get a free vacation. Folds of Honor brings them up. So that's been big. We've raised millions for that. And now PGA Hope we know saves. So we've got a 360-degree. We can help the veteran that's alive or injured in a rehabilitation program, which is PGA Hope. The spouses and children of the fallen, we can help them through, you know, educating their legacy. And then, you know, the other part of it is just giving a little bit back to the families. If they can come up and get some resemblance of getting back to whatever a normal vacation or a normal life, you know, try and reconnect. That's kind of a passion of mine. And my brother Dave Pillar's what started it. He's a Marine Corps veteran. You know, he's just showed me when he came out of the Marine Corps, he was changed into a man that had great will, great integrity. He's coming off a battle with you know, some cancer, and he battled this like a true warrior, and very proud of him.
You continue to improve. As I say, good luck this year. I don't know if you can improve on last year.
I'm going to try.
I know you will. Look at you. You're what, 58?
I'll be 58 like in a few weeks. And
between
that's
you being the camera there, 58,
yeah.
You look like you're 28, you're in good, you stay in great shape. You have to in order to compete with these guys that are bombing it out there.
Yeah, that's why I go to Florida. I try and put a good 10-week session in and, you know, try and get the body and the mind and together in the golf game and hopefully come in with a little momentum versus trying to start. It's not as easy as it used to be. You can't just pick it up and rip right into it.
John, congratulations. Great career. It keeps getting better and better, and congratulations on that HOF after your name as the one of the latest members of the Philadelphia Section Hall of Fame. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll be back all teed off next right here on Inside Golf. Our teed off panel is brought to you by Lulu Country Club. Welcome back. Inside Golf continues from Lulu, and it's time for our teed off panel. Today we have with us Harry Mays. Harry, of course, longtime contributor to the program at Inside Golf. He's with the Swing It and Ding It podcast. And Harry, always a pleasure to see you.
Good to be here, Harry.
Of course, Jim Sullivan, no stranger to us here. No stranger to Lulu. He's here, you know, 8 days a week.
Occasionally. Come on.
And
Larry.
he
You got me in
can't wait to
trouble.
get out there once springtime comes around.
Thanks for
Otherwise,
having me.
he's stuck indoors talking to us. Ken Phillips from Lancaster Country Club, but also, as his sweater would indicate, with the Golf Association of Philadelphia,
Thanks,
second
Harry.
term as
Good to be here.
president. Okay. Start with you, Ken. Topic is the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to you on a golf course.
I'm going to go back to about, I was probably 13 or 14 years old,
Okay.
caddying at Lancaster Country Club. And I had to use the facility really bad. And I had the 9-hole ladies that day. And unfortunately, I had another caddy with me. And on one of the holes, I was 4 caddy, and I had to run into the woods. And fortunately, no one knew. But
None of the women saw you?
no, and that was probably the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to
Are
me.
those woods still there? Could you have done that today, or did they clear it out?
No,
Like cut
actually,
down
they
trees or
actually
something
cleared
like
out a
that?
lot of it. Yeah,
Are we beyond the statute of limitations at Lancaster for that
yeah,
kind of thing?
yeah.
You escaped.
I did.
How about it, Harry?
Wait, where do you want to begin?
In
Well,
the
I mean-
woods
I
with Ken Phillips.
No, I never
in
had
Lancaster.
that. But slipping on acorns and tearing up your ankle, and
Yeah, but that's
I mean that was pretty embarrassing. I
was
gotta
it?
be honest. Oh,
Yeah, but nobody saw you.
No, they
you had to
didn't.
holler for help.
right. But it was still pretty embarrassing. Oh, how'd you hurt yourself? Well, I hurt myself on the golf course, and they're all like, "What? How's that?"
Yeah, but anybody that's seen acorn, that's gonna be on a little slope.
Yeah, it was a little slow, but
I bet that happens more than you think.
I would think so, but maybe with all the tree removal, it's happening less and less. But last year I had a situation during one of those real humid, hot days in the summer. We had that stretch of real humid weather, and I had different eyeglasses then that didn't really, fit too tightly behind my ears. And my nose is sweating, and the glasses slid off my face, and I whiffed the golf ball, playing with a group of guys who are, Buster Stones kind of guys at the 1912 Club, and I never heard the end of it for about 3 weeks.
Wow.
That I whiffed because the glasses literally fell off my face.
Really?
So I went and got new glasses like 2 days later.
Did you try to explain to them what happened?
Oh, they
Because-
knew what happened.
Oh, they did.
They knew. Yeah.
Okay.
It was still funny.
Wow, that is
Pretty
embarrassing. All right, Sully, most embarrassing thing?
Well, the Peanut Gallery wants me to talk about a particular round at Galloway last fall that might not have been my best, but we're going to leave that on the side. And 20 plus years ago, I guess I'm going back to the glory days with my answers. So I playing mini tour golf, trying to make a living playing golf, and I Monday qualify into the Kemper Open, TPC at Avenel, just outside of Washington, D.C. And for a variety of reasons, my wife is caddying for me. She had, not necessarily a golfer, but got to where she knew what she was doing to get around. Wasn't giving me advice, but was and obviously great for the pocketbook if she's traveling with me. So this is obviously a great week, exciting time, and I start on the 10th hole of the first round, and I'm terrible. I mean, 2 days earlier I'd played tremendous to get in, and now I'm terrible. And I have a terrible 9 holes, and go to the first hole and drive it into the right fairway bunker, and go in with my 9-iron or a pitching wedge maybe, and hit my shot up on or near the green, and she goes in to rake the bunker, and I, as you see the guys on TV do, right? And they're on TV. I wasn't necessarily on TV, but I laid my club down against the bag. Basically, for her to clean it up as she picks up the bag and the club and meet me up on the green. And I grab my putter and I'm up on the green, and we work our way through, and 5 holes later, I have a pitching wedge, perfect pitching wedge into the 7th or 8th green. And the pitching wedge is not in the bag. I'm kind of looking around, and if I was paying this caddy, it would have been an easier question. But she was offering me her time, and I said, dear, any idea where the pitching wedge is? And she said, you had it last. I don't know. So now I'm in the middle of the 7th fairway at this tour event, wondering, what the hell do I do? Do I argue with her? Do I go look for this pitching wedge? What do we do? So try to chip a 9-iron, make my way through. And now on the 9th hole, which comes back along the first hole, just as though we're playing here at Lulu, I walk over to the other hole, looking around for my club, and it's not there. And you're kind of wondering, boy, did I lose this pitching wedge for whatever? I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's just one of those circumstances that you can't imagine ever being in. Having a little bit of an argument with your wife about whose responsibility the pitching
Where
wedge
was it? Did you ever find it?
So we were one of the last groups. The greens crew was starting to do some mowing. They picked it up, and it was in the Slugger White, who in rules world is a famous guy. He saw me, what are you doing? I said, I lost my pitching wedge over here. And he got it from the maintenance crew. By the time I was finished my round, Well, I was finishing on 9, and as I was playing the 9th hole, he drove it back and handed it to me.
Did you make the cut?
No, I did not. The first 9 holes was really bad, maybe 7 over par, and so I think I finished 7 over par for the 36 holes. But
You didn't blame your wife for that.
I did not blame her for anything. She was a
Now
saint.
she knows.
Still is. And
When
always
a
has
club's
been.
lying against the bag, put it in the club.
She knows you find your own caddy, buddy.
That's right. That's maybe the bigger lesson. That's the moral of that story, right? Gentlemen, thank you. We'll be back more of Inside Golf in just a moment.
Most golfers spend weeks and even months planning their dream golf vacation, researching transportation, lodging, and tee times. But not you, Doug.
Not me.
Not you. All you have to worry about is piping your drive on this iconic hole you've wanted to play since you were 9. Cause you booked your golf vacation with All Access and they took care of everything. Clear your mind, Doug. Ouch.
Heaven.
All Access. Sadly, we have to leave the golf to you.
Hi, Tony Salucci with the Beacon Group of Companies. If your company has between 50 and 500 employees enrolled in your health insurance plan, there's a really good chance we can reduce your costs significantly and increase the benefits employees receive. How do we do it? We put you together with several thousand employers of a similar size across the country so your company can get amazing buying power. Schedule a conversation with one of our employee benefits specialists today at mybeacongroup.com.
That's going to do it for this week's edition of Inside Golf. Glad to sit down with both Jeff Kiddie and John Pillar, talk about their Hall of Fame careers, the 2 latest inductees into the Philadelphia section of the PGA Hall of Fame. Good to see 2 guys who have really given their most, not just on the course, but especially off the course. No wonder they're in the Hall of Fame. I'm Harry Donahue. Remember, no matter how bad it's going for you out there, don't pick up whether you're on the course or off. And we'll see you next week on Inside Golf. The 28th season of Inside Golf is presented by Destination Monco Golf, the First Tee of Greater Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Association of Golf Course Superintendents, the Golf Association of Philadelphia, GAP, Jersey Man and Philly Man Magazine, and Inside Golf's partner since 1998, the Philadelphia section of the PGA.